Go ahead, Edwin. We will discuss.
Here's something I really want to talk about because I'm really I find this to be very unfair. Over the past 2 years, the California lawmakers and a group of lawmakers and a group of scholars, they were doing research as to offer a plan of reparations to descendants of enslaved people in the state of California, of which California was never a slave state, by the way. So they've been doing this, this proposal, and ultimately they want to provide reparations. They're still working on it on the legislative side of it, but they're creating a path for reparations of all Black people in California who were enslaved, or maybe just because they're Black. And so far, some of the numbers that we're looking at, they're looking to give $1.2 million per person qualified. So there's a lot of things that are going wrong with that. Number one is I don't know how California's going to pay for it. Number two, since California was not a slave state at the time of Abraham Lincoln, I don't even think we were a state when slavery was legal. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, number one. Number two is I think it's just so unfair. So one of the questions I want to ask, our panelists as well as our audience is, if California allows for reparations to Black enslaved descendants, who should pay for it, number one, and should illegal immigrants pay for reparations? And if illegal immigrants aren't allowed to pay for it or not required to pay reparations, should legal immigrants be allowed to pay for reparations? So, just wanted to get everybody's comments on this crazy California task force.
Okay, panelists, go ahead.
I'll jump in. I think it's not surprising that California, of all the lunatic states, is leading the charge on this. Gavin Newsom, a complete idiot, but this is something that they're using to buy votes. Just like they were doing it with forgiveness of student loan debt, which we all notice has not come to fruition. It's the same thing, dangling a carrot so that you can emotionally manipulate an entire block of voters who are only, unfortunately, from the news, hearing one side of the argument. And there's a million reasons why we shouldn't do it, because it's also counterproductive even to the folks who might be receiving this money. And that's, there's a lot of layers to it, but it enforces racism. It enforces, it's unfair on every level. It penalizes people who are good people, and it rewards folks simply because their skin color is a certain color. The melatonin is worth money, then, is what California is saying, because we're talking about people who have not been slaves themselves. The idea of making our country more equal is a fabulous idea, but this idea of paying reparations is misguided, and it's never going to happen. It's a political ploy, and it's a way of buying votes.
I'd like to jump in with a different angle on this. I think that I actually really like to see this ridiculous California government try to ram this through, because I think the consequences are going to be so bad, the blowback. Because what people don't realize is California, as far as Black people, the percentage is actually, I think, lower than the national average. So we actually have more Hispanics and Asians in California than we do Black people. And Hispanics almost are making like a half of the population pretty soon. And it is well known and well documented that Hispanics are pretty fed up with the preferential treatment the Blacks are getting in California, especially. So I would love to see the unintended consequences where the Democrats and the left try to pander to one constituency while getting the majority of the population pretty angry at them. So I'm excited to see the polling. I'd like to remind everyone, I actually worked on the campaign for Prop 16, which Prop 16 was pushed heavily by the left and a lot of blacks for affirmative action, and that failed. Even though Biden won our state by 29 points, we were able to defeat affirmative action by about 16 points when it was all said and done. So at the end of the day, this is not a popular idea, and it's been proven in the ballot box, believe it or not. So I'd love to see this task force continue ramming this through and experiencing an unprecedented blowback.
I'll throw in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I think the Republican Party, as soon as an illegal person crosses the border, hand them a bill and say, "You owe as soon as you step foot on our state, you owe this amount in reparations to Black people."
Yeah. Also good thing, also good point. But one thing I just kind of want to throw in for the audience, slight correction and all that stuff. So, or clarification rather. So California got statehood in 1850, and then the Civil War ended in 1865. So we're a part of the Union, but obviously the Civil War was more all on the East Coast, so we didn't take part of that. So correct that we weren't a slave state, right? And so I just want to give that for the audience, and I want to throw a different angle in which, like, if this actually goes through, if they actually figure out, if California actually figures out a way forward with the reparations, I think the trans ideology will become transracial ideology, right? And so everyone is going to be claiming that they're Black, and that's one thing. Like, how can you, if someone is even on a reality side, if someone is 1/16, 1/8 Black, are they gonna get it? Like, how is there a preparation? Like, if you're full Black, you get 100. If you're half, you get 50. And it's all that stuff. But going on to my more nonsensical point, just to make a point, the transracial idea is going to be a thing, because if they can't defend what a woman is, obviously there's people who been making this argument, how are you going to defend transracial? And so we're going to just have people who are just like, yeah, I identify as Black. If you can say you can be gender fluid and all that stuff, why not just identify as Black, and change your name? Your last name is whatever Washington, whatever, all that stuff. And so it will be ridiculous, and I will hopefully so that they will change their course quickly if they realize they can't defend this when people say, like, hey, I identify as Black. Yeah, obviously I want to leave on a positive note. It's Asian American History Month, but going on to someone who else was not Asian, I mean, there is Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt had a Guardians movie, Guardians of the Galaxy movie, good movie. Actually wasn't really woke, and so that was good. But he made a powerful statement, I think over the weekend or something, that I caught on with. He was talking about freedom. He was talking about grace, and freedom and grace are similar in that it was won for you. It wasn't something that you gained. It was won from you for blood. Freedom was won for us for blood, and grace was given to us by Jesus over blood. And I think those are things that is important, because we need to remember, like, all the things that was provided to us, right? And then for the left, they just want to, everything is on the idol of the self, and on the idol of sacrificing your whatever you want for my needs, right? And so I just want to give that point, because we should uplift each other. We have this town hall meeting with these CCRP candidates, and so this isn't about, like, who's better, who's not. Like, that's the degree, of course. Obviously, someone is going to win, but this is about uplifting the Republican Party and uplifting the voices and uplifting the knowledge and movement and going against all the woke ideology. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the common enemy here. Like, not within us, not within our own party, but like defeating the left. I think that is the most thing that we need to do, because it's in the path of self-destruction. And so I'll just leave it there. Hopefully that's going to be firing up people towards 2024. So, yeah.
Thank you, Miss. Go ahead, Edwin.